Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Join me for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And welcome everybody to our regular council meeting our regular rescheduled council meeting for the 30th of September. Start with the roll call, please.
Weber.
Here.
Houston. Hannah.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Prusader.
Here.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Next, I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. I'll wait for you, Tom, sorry.
Okay.
Next, we move to public comment. Dave, anything up there?
Nothing, Mayor.
Okay. Moving then to the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the September 9, 2024 regular meeting, the bow hunting request for Kent Young for 2024-25 bow hunting season, and the bow hunting request for Daniel Young for 2024-25 bow hunting season.
So moved.
I
Second.
have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to the financials. I need a motion to approve the claims for payment.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to the item 7, the revenues and expenses to date for information only. Anybody have any questions with regard to that? Hearing none, we'll move to item number 8, which is the transfers. That, again, information only. Anybody have any questions with regard to the transfers?
One question, when we get money back from people that have been assessed on the roads, does that money just go back into the next year's toward roads?
So what that does is it goes towards the bond payment, the debt we took out for that project.
Okay.
That's what that goes towards.
Thank you.
Next, we move to item number 9. I need a motion to approve the third and final reading of an ordinance amending the provisions pertaining to the fines and fees schedule. This is the section 1.15, the water and sewer fees. First, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this? This is our third reading, so I think we've talked.
Just so the public knows that if the cost of the plant does not reach the level that we've anticipated, the fees going forward may change.
They will change. There's a very high likelihood that they will change. We estimated this based on our current construction estimate, which is
Yeah.
$43 million, and we expect it to be lower than that when it's bid.
Yeah.
Once we get bids back, we get that finalized information, then we'll rerun those numbers, and we'll redo that, and we'll come back with another ordinance reducing those rates.
Because people have expressed a lot of concern with it.
Sure. We talked with some of our industrial people here in town because we were trying to figure out ways if there was we could help them out. Unfortunately, there just really isn't any room to move anything right now. But like I explained to them, same type of thing. Once we get the numbers back on what the actual construction cost is going to be, then we'll take a new look at that again and try to make sure that we can adjust it to make it as equitable as possible.
Sure.
Okay, if there's no further discussion on this would be a roll call vote.
Houston.
Yay!
Hannah.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Prusader.
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes. When will the bids be on that?
We'll have an update for you at an upcoming
That
meeting.
was a yay is what I put it as.
I think you should be clarified.
Hey, Tom, just a quick clarification. Was your vote a yes or a no?
Negative, no.
Okay,
Oh.
passes 6-1. That's what I thought. I just want to be sure, though. Okay,
Thank you.
next we'll move to item number 10, which is the first reading of an ordinance amendment to Chapter 138, street grades. I need a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance amending the provisions pertaining to Chapter 138, street grades.
So moved. Second.
Can that
Okay.
be explained a little bit?
So, I don't know, Mark, you want to come up and give an explanation of what this ordinance does and why we do this? Would you? It's related to the street overlay project.
Yeah, so a grade ordinance is a supplemental instrument that confirms the street has grade after it's rehabilitated or reconstructed. And and it's part of the special assessments proceedings that the city used to help partially pay for the project. So this is just a supplemental document that needs to be approved that establishes grades on the street. It says that the streets are established with a grade so that if a homeowner is going to construct a sidewalk or construct a driveway, that they know that there is grade on that street that they will need to match to.
Sure.
Do we match it to the same grade that it was before the work, or do we match it to a grade based upon the ordinance?
In this case, we're matching it to the same grade as was there before, because this project did not remove or replace curb and gutter, or very much curb and gutter. So a person's driveway or sidewalk will match into exactly where it was at before, should they be wanting to remove or replace that.
Okay, but if it was just, if we had done some work with curb and gutter, then...
It would be the new established grades per the plans, yes.
Okay, would we then change the ordinance again as to the elevations and grades? This is what we would be using?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, great, thank you for the clarification. Anybody else have any questions for Mark?
No, thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Makes sense.
Okay, any further discussion with regard to this motion?
No.
Hearing none, this is a roll call vote then?
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Versater,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston.
Okay, it passes 7-0. Next question is, do we want to make a motion to suspend the statutory rule so that we can have this finalized tonight, or do we want to have the extra two sessions? Does anybody want to make that motion to suspend the statutory rule?
I would make that
Okay, I
motion.
have a motion. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, keeping in mind that I need 6 out of 7 votes in order to be able to do that. So do we want to have any discussion about that, or just move forward with the vote?
My question is, on discussion, are there any projects that this is going to affect within the next couple months?
No, this
no.
project's.
I didn't think there was, but I
completed.
wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll then move to the roll call vote on that. In terms of, this is the motion to suspend the statutory rule, so you're not voting on we have a first reading that's been passed. This is just to determine whether or not we can have one more ruling, be it for all of the ordinance passage. Okay, so roll call vote.
Moore,
Yes.
Versater,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston, Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes 7-0. So now I need a motion to,
I make a motion for third and final reading, final passage.
okay, so we'll have a motion that's to be placed for final passage for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code 380.3 and to authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance. So you've made the motion. Do I have a
I
second
will
on that?
second that.
Catherine, is a second. Again, this will be a roll call vote then.
Versater,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston, Hannah,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0 also. Next, we move to item number 11. Pursuant to the agenda, I'm going to now convene a public hearing on the proposed rezoning request. Just to clarify what we're doing here is we have a rezoning request with regard to this is Henderson property, right?
Yeah.
Changing from agricultural to residential for the purposes of their construction. So this has been through the committee, it's been planning and zoning, it's also been through a work session of ours. So this was the public hearing on that. Is there anybody here that was here to speak on that?
I did not receive any written for or against.
Okay, I'll now close the public hearing, and you'll note the comments for the record. Next, we move to item number 12. This is a first reading of a motion to approve an ordinance amending the provisions pertaining to Chapter 170 zoning regulations. First, I need the motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Okay, Matt, do you want to remind us what this was for?
So this is the area that's south north side of Bland, just south of the high school. It's currently an agricultural use property, and the proposal is to rezone it, I believe, to an R2, R1, sorry, to an R1 designation for a future residential project.
Okay, so this would then be a roll call vote, unless there's any further discussion first? Hearing none, this would be a roll call vote then.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0 also. Next, question, same as before, does anybody want to make a motion to suspend the statutory rules so that we can vote on this for final passage tonight rather than waiting for 2 more council session meetings?
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion with regard to that? Hearing none. Again, I need 6 out of 7 to pass. Roll call vote.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 6-1, so that would pass it. So next, I need a motion to amend the provisions of Chapter 170, the zoning regulations, placed for final passage for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code 380.3, and authorizing the mayor to sign the ordinance.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. That would be a roll call vote again.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
That passes 6-1. Next, we move to item number 13, which is a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a resolution to assess property owners under Chapter 52 mowing of properties for failure to comply. First, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second. This is for,
802 Nelson Avenue Northeast.
okay, 802 Nelson Avenue then. Any further discussion with regard to this? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote again.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Okay, it passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 14. Motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the fiscal year 2024 street finance report resolution and to authorize the assistant city manager, city clerk, treasurer to submit the report to the Iowa DOT.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Susie, do you want to, is there something special? This is something we do each year, right? Anything special about this that we need to talk about? Anybody?
I don't really have anything special. This report just shows where money spent within the street department went, and it includes projects, so.
Okay, is there questions with regard to any of the projects or any of the disbursements of the money that anybody wants to talk about?
Well, it primarily pays for the street department, doesn't it?
It does.
Pretty much any of the road use money that we get every month pays for the regular operating expenses and wages for the street department. So it's pretty much there.
Directed.
cut and dried.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be a roll call vote then.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 15. This is a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a resolution to approve a homeowner agency repair program project according to the Independence TIF LMI set-aside administrative plan. First, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is for 805 7th Avenue Southwest, and it's a roof repair replacement. Is it also the ramp improvement or not?
No, it is.
All
Okay.
three.
All three.
It's all three.
In an amount not to exceed $3,050. Any discussion with regard to this project? Hearing none, this would be a roll call vote again.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 16. This is a motion to approve a commercial restoration rehab grant application with Stand Development LLC in the amount of $10,658.31. First, I need a motion.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. This is the 330 First Street East, so that's the Brick Kitchen, Circle 8 Cyclery area, and the overall project cost is $31,978.12. So with our calculations and stuff, the amount that would be available for the application is the $10,658.31 number. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any comments with regard to this?
Just so for public information, this is primarily TIF.
It is. It's TIF money.
And they did do some things on the front side of that building early on, didn't they?
I
With
think
the
they,
downtown restoration, or is that not part of that?
It wasn't.
That was
Was-
something
That was
separate
something
that they did.
separate. Okay.
I think it was new windows and maybe a new door, but I don't remember for sure.
Okay. So that was a totally different, okay,
Yeah.
because I had been asked that question. Okay, thank you.
okay, this would then be a roll call vote.
Persauter,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston,
yes,
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 17. This is a motion to approve the submittal of a host town application to RAGBRAI for the 2025 event, indicating, we have a choice of yes or no, so we're going to do it with yes. The Independents would like to be a host town, so do I have that motion?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with regard to this?
I have had more positive calls from people that want to be part of continue to be part of the fundraising like they were in 2014 and earlier.
Okay.
In fact, I just got one in the parking lot as I was coming in.
So I want to clarify for the council too, that we received this application on the 6th of September, and I did not forward it out to everybody. I forwarded it to the mayor, but I didn't forward it to the rest of the city council, and that's on me, and I will make sure in the future that when we receive these, that the whole council gets alerted to it.
Thank you.
And I never saw the application. I got an email from Matt while I was in court, and I completely ignored it. So I never saw it until I heard about it after the fact. So I apologize for not paying more attention to it, but I just didn't see it.
Sure.
I was curious why we got such a short notice on it.
Well, the other thing, too, I mean, last year it was due to the 1st of November, and this year it's due the 1st of October, so.
Yeah, we had a much shorter window. Like, you got yours the 6th, and ours did come to our office until the 10th is when Lisa sent it to me. So we got it a few days after when you guys did.
And see, normally we would have had our meeting on the 23rd, and that would have given us more time, but because I was out of town and Matt was out of town, it was a comedy of not errors, but,
It's just timing. That's just how it all worked out, yeah.
It works.
so anyway, further discussion with regard to this motion.
Yeah, I'd like to call, Nikki, you said you were going to get some information together on expenditures from other sizable towns like us, as
I
well
did.
as
Yeah.
garbage collection, things like that.
Well, I did reach out to Waste Management, and Colette was forwarding my information on to the guy who
Fred.
handles like Independence or whatever. She thought I'd have some information by today. I have not gotten any information from her. She said that she thought back in 2014,
Thanks, Fred.
and please forgive me, this 2014
Thanks, Fred.
budget is so hard to read, and I'm getting older and probably need readers soon, so, but she thought they did it very similar to how they do the 4th of July. They bring down the containers, it's all in kind, they pick them up. If we're a Friday night overnight, they would pick everything up Monday morning. If we're a Thursday night overnight, they would pick everything up on Friday. So she thought that was the way that they did it in 2014, but I did not hear back from the guy, from Waste Management yet.
So she thought that it was in kind.
She thought in 2014 it was in kind. She said, I think it's basically how we do the 4th of July. But I'm not saying that is or isn't. So that hasn't been confirmed yet at all. So,
Well, I think it's important to point out, too, that we're going to have to, should we submit this application and be selected, we're going to continue to have additional meetings about logistics and budget and all of those things. It's worth talking about tonight for sure. I'm not
Yep.
trying to minimize anything at all, but just to point out that we're going to have to continue to have additional discussions about
Yep.
this if we are selected to be a host town.
Vicki, I just don't know the answer to this question. Do we have 120 rooms that available for?
We do within a 20-mile radius. So we do have Owine, and then Urbana, the one closest, it's right,
To the interstate?
Yeah.
yes, right there. So we do have enough rooms. I will say the girl from Atlantic, they did not have enough rooms, and she said they really didn't even use all of the rooms that were reserved anyway. So that doesn't know, and that could vary from year to year or whatever, but
I don't know why they need them anyway.
I think
Most
it's
people
mostly
camp.
for I think a lot of it's for the RAGBRAI committee.
Bus riders.
The
Yeah.
committee and the
Yes.
patrol,
Yes.
highway patrol and everything.
Excuse me, but
Yeah.
jump in. They will want to reserve 60 rooms for themselves, which they use for their committee, highway patrol, their transportation people, and all of that stuff. So 60 rooms go to that. The other rooms, I'm not sure how they're distributed, but quite often if you do the days that they announce RAGBRAI, there's people that guess it and book rooms and then change them. And then the day they reserve RAGBRAI, they'll go through and reserve them. I've known people who've got them that day though.
Last year when we did this and we reached out to the hotels, there was a group that had already reserved 7 rooms at Super 8 prior to them being put in because they thought, Independence might be on that route this year. So they told us like 7 of these rooms are already reserved for a RAGBRAI group that comes through. So those people are on.
Yeah, and I wasn't criticizing at all.
No.
I just didn't know the answer because I was thinking to myself, do we really have that many rooms in
We
town?
don't, and I do know,
MHI.
we could utilize some of those, right? I do know we may not get the sheet, the hotel sheet right back from Rush Park today. They do have it. They have some things going on out there, but I did speak with Ann from RAGBRAI, and she had said, Matt and I were going back and forth because we weren't sure. It said, on some of the application, it says by October 1st, and then it says on October 1st. So I sent out an email and said, hey, can we still submit tomorrow? And she said, oh, absolutely. And if you need more time, let me know. So I am going to reach out to her based on what we found out this afternoon with Rush Park and just say, we will be submitting that also. So, and they were very good last year, Rush Park was, so.
Fred, do we have an expectation in terms of which route is most likely to be taken this year?
My true guess is no. But, I mean, just like the first time we did it, because we got ignored by, the city ignored them when they wanted to come through town. It took us like 14 years in a row to make it happen. Well, after 2007, we proved to them that we could be a good place. That's why they wanted us in 14. And the RAGBRAI director said it will be within the next few years. So a lot of us that done it the last 2 times are getting old. I don't know if you noticed, but I am. But anyway, we just got to keep pushing forward and asking for it, in my opinion. That the state of the streets in town, I understand that's going to be a dilemma if it comes through at the wrong time. But every town we go into has some kind of construction.
Right.
I mean, there's always a way around. It's never kind of
Well, I mean, this is a better time in terms of construction than it would be in what, 27?
6.
26. 26 would be really bad. So hopefully, if we're going to do it, then we're going to do it this.
I have to laugh about that because when I wrote my letter last year, I said, if we don't get it in 2024, 2026 would be great because that's the 250th birthday of America and this is independence and we could throw a really good party probably. And then I'm like, in the application it says, what years can't you have it? And so we'll have to put 2026 now, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't even know at this point how far out we're going to go. Are we going to go from the bridge to 10th Street? Are we going out beyond that?
Sure.
That depends on the route that they decide to take, too. If they came from the north down 150, the First Street West wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Most likely, they won't come down, or they will not come down 150.
Well, through
But they will.
through
They're
Fairbanks
gonna
Amish
some
Boulevard.
come Through Otterville.
Right.
The one time it was in Owine before, when we were a pass-through. Now, another option that we're looking at is being just a pass-through, being a meat town. They're really the cleanest because it's about 2.5, 3 hours and they're out of here. And we still get capitalized on quite a bit of business and they're out. So the pass-throughs, we haven't had one of them for years, but the last time we had it, it was just, I mean, almost nobody knew what was going on. But they've done great downtown. So, I mean, it's just clean in and out of town. If we're a meat town, they're here for about 3 hours for that. That's where all the motorhomes and everybody shows up and then they fill up the fuel and stuff. But
Nikki, you had talked about getting some sort of economic expenditures from the city of Atlantic, and was it Atumwa?
So Atumwa, I talked with the chamber director down there, and I talked with Atlantic. I chose both of those city communities because Atlantic is kind of like size. They have about 500 more people, and Atumwa was a Thursday night overnight. Obviously, we know Atumwa has 22,000 people, so they had a lot more. And the chamber director sent me she had the entertainment and the vendor budget. So I didn't get her whole budget, but I did get the whole budget from Atlantic, yeah. So they, in the end, profited $36,925 off after all expenditures were paid out. One thing that they are waiting for is, if anybody saw, Fred probably saw this last year. Last year, they did, RAGBRAI went ahead and did a commemorative T-shirt for each overnight community that you could order ahead of time. That went through GoFundMe, was kind of like their PayPal or Square. That's who they used for their e-commerce. And they're waiting still for a $5,000 check, $5,500 check from them also.
Did that include the 50,000 that RAGBRAI put in? Was that included in those numbers?
Yep. So they had $50,000 of seed money, and as you see on the economic impact report, last year, when I talked to Matt Fippen, he kept saying, I think we're gonna give $50,000 to each community. They did. This year it's on here that they're giving the $50,000 to each community. And the Bailey from Atlantic told me when they went to their first overnight meeting, where in March, they handed them the check for the $50,000. So it's not a reimbursement, it is, here is your seed money to start helping you get ready. She said they didn't spend a dime on anything until they got that check and started. For vendor fees, they like to do, pretty much they work with everybody, so everybody's the same across the board. So it isn't like Independence is gonna charge $1,000 and Dubuque is gonna charge $500. Everybody pretty much had the same vendor fees, and they took in $20,400 in vendor fees, $30,000 in sponsorship, and then they still have their T-shirt money. That isn't included in that $36,000.
That vendor fee comes back to the city?
The
Or is a
vendor fee
portion
comes
that
back,
goes-
the vendor fee goes to, so it goes into our pot for expenditures, yep. Now, each community, if you needed electricity, each community had a $100 deposit also for if they left, if the vendor left and didn't clean up their area. She said they gave back all their $100 deposits to all of the, they had 39 total vendors in Atlantic, and they said to prepare for between 40 and 50, so they had 39.
How many portable restrooms did they have?
I did not ask that.
That was one of the things you and I
have all
talked
the
about.
numbers of what we did before.
Yeah.
What, Fred? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We, in our packet from last time.
I remember.
We have all that stuff,
The porta potties were in there?
yeah.
Showers.
Everything was in,
So Bailey told me the
what
showers,
we
like,
did in 14 and 7.
we talked about the showers last year. She said in those vendors were the shower people. They come in, they pay us the vendor fee, and then they run everything instead of, and she said they follow all. So, I mean, if we chose to run that, okay, but that's more labor that we have to do instead of just, having a fee, so, yep.
And they still will shower in schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the schools will collect that money.
Yep.
The shower house, most of them are the guy out of Manchester that does importable ones. He goes to NASCAR races all over the place. He followed the rec right that week.
And we do have Cynthia Phillips from the school is sending a letter of support also. She was getting that put together for us today. So,
Now, when you said they profited 36,000 after all expenditures, now that counts what Ragbri put in, what the vendors put in and everything?
The T-shirt program.
T-shirt program,
without
everything?
that
Did not
$5,500,
include
so
that.
they're still expecting that $5,500. Yep,
So it's a potential of 41.5
yes,
is the real number then?
yep.
So
But that money
last
goes
two
back-
times when it came through, what we did with the profit is we sent it back to all the nonprofits that signed up as vendors. So Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, churches, all them people at the end of the thing, they've got money back.
So they got their
And
vendor
we kept-
feedback.
We kept $5,000 of seed money, which we still have in our trails fund. So the last couple of times, that's what we started with, was $5,000. So we're 55,000 ahead of that now because of.
No,
how
they split the
participate.
profits between all of them, not their, I mean, they got their vendor fee back, but they split the profits.
Oh, I
with
see.
them. So
Everybody put
that's-
into one kitty and then it was split
Yep.
equally amongst the nonprofits.
And that's how we did it in Raleigh as the pass-through town. We profited $12,000 and all the organizations that came in to help us, we just split that between the Independence Band and the Presbyterian Youth Group and Buchanan County Tourism and all that kind of stuff. Everybody got $1,000 out of that, $12,000.
So on and above the businesses, the people are going to participate in and spend money.
Our
and-
restaurants, our
and
bars, and our
the
convenience
restaurants,
stores, for
bars and
sure.
everything that are going to make money from it.
Yep.
The exposure of the people coming through the town and all the nonprofits are going to contribute or get money also to help out all nonprofits throughout the community.
Yep.
So it's a wonderful all-around win situation.
Local option sales tax, road use tax, hotel motel tax. It hits the trifecta.
The girl, I mean, Bailey told me, she said while they're out of town very early in the morning, you know, she said, your town really looks like it goes down by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. She said, but in Atlantic, their Casey store, their west side Casey store, so I'm assuming they have a west and an east and a north and a south like we do probably. She said they ran out of gas with all of the support vehicles filling up to get out of town, so.
And most likely, I mean, the way it happened the last two times, basically Highway 20 was the main corridor. So the convenience stores on that end of town is who got all of the pass-through traffic from the support vehicles. The one time that it was in Olwine, I don't know if anybody remembered the train that came through town, but all the convenience stores were filled up. You couldn't, I mean, almost blocking the highway.
Further discussion?
The $50,000, then we can use to share that to pay for the police department's
You know, it-
funds.
Have to.
Our feeling is we definitely want to partner with the city on this. In the past, it's been an in-kind donation because we go to everybody looking for money. But if that's the way you, the city, want to partner, that's fine.
I do know both Atlantic and Atumwa did tell me that their in-kind donation from the city was their law enforcement and their streets. That was their donation. Bailey said in the past, Atlantic would pay a sponsorship fee and then they reimburse the city for the law enforcement. And they were like, why are we doing this? Why are we paying a sponsorship fee? And then you guys are just basically giving us our money back. Why don't we do that in exchange? So, and I do have the, from last year, or from 2014, it said, in the budget, which was budgeted, which I'm assuming was reimbursed, there was Indy's officers of overtime, there was 70 hours. They had an additional 40 officers at 30 hours. The deputies had 60 hours of OT, and the correctional staff, they must have had to throw a few more people up in the jail to help, was 20 hours. So I know that was in the budget. So, yeah.
And we can discuss this in January when we
Yeah.
find out if we get it.
Yeah, we don't even know if we're going to get it,
Yeah.
right?
Right, they announce it on January 25th. Most of the time, you know in December. I
Really?
mean, they'll carry a packet in and lay it on your desk and say, this doesn't mean anything to start getting ready, and make damn sure you don't tell anybody, but that's normally how.
And when we apply for this, do we apply for both the overnight and the travel through?
I think you apply for everything. You just say, yes, our city is willing to host. So even if we're just a pass-through or a meet-up town, we're still going to get a little bit of
We're
seed
still in
money. Yeah, and we had no seed money in Raleigh in 2021. There was nothing except our little bit of sponsorship and some donations, and we sold some T-shirts, and stuff like that, and we still came out $12,000 ahead. So in the 5 hours that we had people in before the state patrol came in and pushed them out to a different town.
Who does the beer sales? Who profits off that?
That's what helps pay for the event.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, obviously, the bars get their own, and the restaurants and that stuff, but the beer sales in the beer garden, that's 100% to pay for the band and whatever activities that goes along with it.
And that is ran by the chamber then?
Well, in this case, they're on the core committee.
yeah. So we just submit that alcohol application like we would for any other
Anything
event,
else?
just like Celebrate Indy would or the barbecue, whatever. So, yeah.
And obviously, as a core committee, we're hoping for somebody from every walk of the city, so we want people from the city council on it, because we definitely want, I mean, last time the schools and the street department, we had somebody from just about everywhere on it, which made it smooth and everybody knew what was going on. It was good communication.
That way nobody's left in the dark.
Yeah. And we did have a meeting, I don't know, when was that, Brian? We had a meeting and kind of went through everybody from all the committees from last time and said, okay, Steve McGraw will help assist with the camping, but he doesn't want to be in charge of the camping this year. Who could we, reach out to, especially in that younger age group, and try to get them to help. So we have some people in mind, still from last year, so that we did reach out to and said, hey, if we get it, will you help? So.
Okay. I don't want to cut everybody off. So, further discussion? Tom, do you have something?
No.
Okay. So the vote, the motion is to approve the submission of the application as a host town for Independence. So we've got a motion and a second. This will be a roll call vote then.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Crusader.
No.
Passes 6-1. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, let's
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Let's move then to reports. I'm going to go out of order a little bit. Tom, we're going to start with you. Welcome to the call. We really appreciate you taking the time out. We're glad to hear your voice. Did you have anything special that you wanted to say tonight?
No, thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Weber,
I have nothing there.
okay. Deb?
When do we start getting bids for the 2025 road construction at 10 or 11 blocks or whatever it is we're doing?
We're not doing a 2025 road construction project. That was pushed back because we didn't take that out at the beginning of the year. So the 2025 road rehab project won't occur until 2027. And then the 2027 one got moved to 2028.
We've already done that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
Anything else, Deb?
No.
Okay.
Nothing, Mayor.
No, sir.
Concern from several people, some driving trucks into town from the west, some walking on the trail from south to north on the trail that comes up from Triangle Park. There were 2 near misses, one last Wednesday and most recent one on Saturday. So I had 2 calls that people are just flying into town on that. I don't know if we need to put the speed sign out further for them to see 25 is coming up, or
Which,
No,
which,
Brian Mulder.
Blaine, well, I think that sign is plenty visible. It's just people don't pay attention to it.
Hey, you're going into a 45-degree turn
We
right there when it goes down
added,
too.
since I've been here, we added a sign at Tom's request that said 25 mile an hour zone ahead or something like that, you know, reduce speed
I have
ahead.
no solutions, I just bring
Sure.
forth the problem.
Yeah.
It's pretty good visibility looking to the west there, is there
That's what I
not?
thought too, but
Yeah.
It's totally visible.
Catherine, go ahead.
I do have one positive thing to share. I was in Hawaii, and I talked to a lady who was from Hawaii and another lady that was from California. And they asked me where I was from, and I said, well, you probably have heard of Iowa, but you might not have heard of Independence, Iowa. And they said, yes, we did. We were there for RAGBRAI. It's a wonderful little community.
so there.
I know. I was like shocked.
Have they been back?
No, because we haven't had it since they were here, so.
I didn't know if they come back, you know, visit
I didn't
after
ask
being
them
through
that.
on
I just laughed and said, oh my gosh, that's bizarre.
It's quite a ride across the Pacific.
Yeah. Oh, well, the one lady, and I was just looking at this, how many people like from, and I don't see, oh, yep, I do see there were a few people. So one of 8 people from Hawaii was here. I think she used to live in California, though. So, anyway,
Okay.
I just thought that was very interesting.
All right, we'll move to the city manager report. Matt's got such great news for us.
I got a bunch of things for you. First thing I wanted to do is tell everybody, or tell the street department, thank you for their work in installing the sidewalks out at Triangle Park. If you haven't been out there and looked at it, the dock looks
good.
really nice. The park, the sidewalks that were put in looks really nice. Everything looks good. Really appreciate George Lake with his committee and everything he's done to get the financing in place for that so that we could make that happen. We got a bid back from Advanced Environmental for $3,100 this is for Strawville to do the asbestos abatement at 812 10th Street, and I went ahead and approved that bid for $3,100, awarded that for $3,100 to keep that project moving, and we've talked about it a lot in council. I felt like everybody was on board and knew that we were going to be moving forward with that. So they're doing that work. The street department is planning, hopefully, to demo that house the week of the 14th of October. So the streets guys are actually going to do the work. We'll haul it off and haul it to Waste Management and clean it all up and grade it and get it all ready so that we can hopefully put it on the market and maybe sell it. So
Perfect.
Travis is working on some sanitary sewer issues that we're having downtown. There's an old main that runs under some of the buildings north side of Main Street there between 3rd and 2nd, runs under B&D Services, runs under some of those. We thought in the past that everything had been disconnected from that line, but B&D Services is where the line kind of ends, and she keeps finding stuff in her basement that I'm not going to talk about in a public meeting that you don't want to find, I'll put it that way. So we've done some research on that. About a month ago or so, we figured out that the apartment above Joe's was connected. So we talked to them, they got it rerouted so that it's not connected anymore. Now we figured out that, I think, TurboTax, what's the other tax? H&R Block, thank you. I think H&R Block is in the building now, they're in Dana Veter's building, and the apartments that are above there, we have figured out are now connected, or are connected right now. So Travis is gonna do some work in that parking lot behind Napa, try to see if we can figure out where that main's at, see if we can intercept it and get it rerouted so that it's not connected anymore and get these issues fixed. Travis is also going to be sending out another batch of letters for the lead service line inventory. We still have over half missing for that,
When are they supposed to be due?
middle of October.
well, I don't know when they're due, but I know he needs to submit something like a final
Right.
report by October 16th.
Right. So we're going to keep working on it. We're under the impression from talking with DNR that as long as we're making progress and continue to work on it, it'll be okay. You know, I mean, they're not, yeah. So, but we're going to keep working on that. Just want to let everybody know about that. Reminder that there's an EMS meeting on October 3rd to talk about the upcoming levy. Everybody should have gotten an email from me inviting you guys to attend that. I believe it's at the EMS building on West First Street out there. And then a couple other things here. So the engine one, I emailed everybody about that. I think that we had an issue with that and some damage to it. There's going to be an adjuster to come look at that from ICAP. They'll talk with the manufacturer to schedule repairs and et cetera. That adjuster will be here tomorrow to look at that. We believe from talking with ICAP that we have a $25,000 amount that can be used towards a loaner truck if we can identify one or find one. That's going to be the question with that. We're still verifying that dollar amount in those things. The insurance value on the truck is $410,000, and there's a $1,000 deductible, so $409,000 is what it's insured for. If the repairs can be made to it, then ICAP would cover those minus the $1,000 deductible. We do have a 2-year timeline from the claim submittal to get that all done. We have some concerns about whether or not we'll be able to find parts and so on and so forth related to that. And I think, I want everybody to be thinking about it because I'm concerned that there may be a chance that ICAP may come in and say that we can't fix that truck, that there's just too much to it. And if that happens, then what are we going to do? How are we going to replace it, or what are we going to do in that regard? So maybe start kind of considering that and thinking about it.
Is that one of the newer trucks we bought?
It's engine 1. It's not, I don't know how old it is. John, do you know how old that truck is off the top of your head?
I think 2014,
Yeah.
I believe.
That's one from Indiana?
That is the one from Florida, E1 sourced it.
Yeah.
They built that.
Yeah.
What's going on with the MHI truck?
So if it's not fixable, they will pay the $409,000?
They would-
Wait. That's not exactly how it works. We may have an insured value of that, but they still will evaluate what the actual cash value of it is. They're going to take the current cost to replace less depreciation, and they're going to calculate the number. It's not.
It may not be 410.
It may not be
less.
410, and this is where the insurance stuff comes into play. Sometimes if they tell you it's a total loss, they're going to give you a number, and their number may or may not be the right number. So that's when you have to go out and look at other locations of other trucks that are similar to it to establish the value, because you're establishing a value on something. It's not like there's a book value, but you can look it up and say, well, this truck with this equipment is worth X amount of dollars. They don't really have that specifically, so what you end up doing is you end up finding something similar, and then you use that basis to argue why you think that the dollar amount is what the dollar amount is, as opposed to what their initial offer might be.
Hopefully we don't have to go through that process, but I just want to put it on everybody's, in front of you guys to start thinking about it as what we're going to do if it comes to a situation where we've got to source another vehicle. Then the Parks Department received 4 trash cans for downtown, the John Holland Fund. Have that right?
Yes.
They applied for, bought them for downtown. We're trying to figure out where we're going to put those at. I'm going to talk with Bob Beatty and Brad Esch about where we can put them in at. These trash cans are very similar, if not exactly the same, to the ones that were identified in the community visioning. Pete Gomer sourced them, and he did find a place that was able to get them for about half of what Victor Stanley, I think is who was the original one, was going to charge for them.
They were phenomenal.
They're still expensive, but I will also tell you that I was in Pittsburgh a week ago, and there was one that looked identical to it, and it has been there since '83.
I took a picture of one in Washington DC that I know had been there a long time. I took a picture of the company after you and I had our conversation.
Yep.
It's still in my phone somewhere. We just hadn't gotten any further with that, so I'm glad that it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, they're expensive, sure, but
Yeah.
you buy them and you don't touch them again. So that's the idea, at least. So, but I want to talk that through with Brad and with Bob, because they are bolted down, they're installed, and that's where they are is where they are. So I want to make sure that we talk that through. Thinking that we'll start at the river and start heading east with them and just kind of try to figure out some good places to put them. And then as we are able to continue funding that, we'll keep putting more in and continue all the way up Main.
How many did we get? 4 to start with?
4 to start with. Yeah, and they're donating them to the city for this, so,
Wow.
yeah.
Very nice.
2 other topics. One's pretty minor, the other one's a little bit more major. We got our notice from the DOT today at 4 o'clock that our speed camera permit was denied. So that means all 4 of our camera locations have been denied by the state. And they are, Dave, do you want to come up and kind of talk through that some more? I sent an email out to the council before the meeting with a copy of the letter, so everybody has got that and can see that.
I did see that.
So slightly before 4 o'clock, I got a call from Mark Davich from Census Cat. So he asked if I'd gotten anything from the state. I said no. He said, you're going to be getting some, and he shared with me out of the, I think it's 170 applications for fixed cameras, 11 got approved and 159 got disapproved. And what I'm seeing early from the Iowa Chiefs Association board is that a lot of towns got approved, the larger cities got approved for their mobile speed camera locations. The two reasons on ours was, the one on the west side, it was because
It wasn't the least restrictive.
yeah, it wasn't the least restrictive for enforcement. The other one on 150 South said just not needed.
So that means we're going to put officers out there, and rather than these people getting a ticket that they just pay the ticket, they're going to have a larger fine, and they're also
Ooh,
going to
it's
have it
gonna go
on
on
the
their
driving
driving
record and on their
On
insurance.
the record.
So with that, I talked it through with Matt. I talked with Mark from Census Gatso. Basically, what we're going to do is, I'm sure within the next 2 days, I'll be on with Mark from Census Gatso, and they have their legal department working on it. I'm sure as well as Ultimate and some of the other speed camera companies. And then they're probably going to end up filing something in court due to the fact that in the code it specifically says shall issue permit.
And that, to be clear, that's for existing cameras that were in place before January 1 of 2024, which ours clearly were.
Yeah.
So
And it's kind of out of the blue because we got the feeling that this was just a rubber stamp, although my application was probably yay thick. For those of you at home listening, it's 4 inches.
Wow.
So it was a lot of work. So we'll work through that. I'll keep Matt updated. He'll keep you updated. But at this point, we're in a kind of a wait and see that the traffic cameras have been shut off.
What do they mean by less restrictive or least restrictive?
It'd be just,
Meaning
Go
there's
ahead.
no reason the officers couldn't be there.
Just, they want the officers out there doing it. So I've heard that the fixed locations were Des Moines, Davenport,
of course.
Cedar Rapids, and one in LeClaire. And that encompasses the 11 that were put in.
And see, the problem that we're going to have is that if we don't put the officers out there, we've said that this is a dangerous situation. So we're acknowledging that it's a dangerous situation, and then if we don't put the officers out there to patrol it, and then something happens to somebody, now the city's really in serious trouble because we've declared something to be dangerous, and yet we didn't take appropriate steps to solve it, so.
With the fact when I say cameras are off, I mean there won't be enforcement. The cameras will still be on, collecting the information and logging the data at all times. So with what happened when this went to the Supreme Court back in 2019, the same thing, Cedar Rapids had theirs on, they collected the data, and then they used that later on. And I think it's going to end up being the same type of thing. We'll be able to show that the speeds are going to increase in those areas after they find out there's no enforcement to it. So we'll continue to work at that, but that's just where we're at now.
So to be clear, the speed limit, Chief, is going to continue to be what it is. It just be enforced by officers rather than by.
Absolutely, as it has been enforced up to this point at
Right.
times with officers,
yes,
when we can, and we'll continue to do that. Good question.
I think it's also important to point out that the cameras, the way they were structured, especially with the changes that happened in the law, if the speed limit's 20, we don't issue a citation until 31, 11 miles an hour over.
Why do we keep talking about that?
With-
Speed limit's
Well,
20.
But now
I
we're
get that,
issuing
but
tickets.
when there's an officer out there, if you're doing 21 and the officer decides to pull you over, they can. Now, they're probably not going to be that strict, but
Yeah, within the limits of what the allowable limits of the radar says, obviously, yes. Yep.
So if you're still cameraing that and it would come back where we could have them, you would go back and ticket them people?
No.
No, not
Can't do
during,
that.
not during the time, unless the court would rule and say, yes, during the time, you can go back now. But we kind of had the
Probably
same
won't.
situation until we got the signage moved, and we stopped ticketing during that time, to be fair. And then we got the signage moved as was required under the code, and then we restarted the ticketing again.
So as of today, our tickets are done being sent out?
As of now, I contacted Gatso, and they were turning them off immediately to comply with the ruling from the DOT. So that we don't want to be the ones non-compliance. We'll fight with the state on that, but we won't be the ones.
But the
So I-
citizens do need to be aware that police officers will be sitting there, and if they get a ticket now, it goes against their license, and the fine will be much more than what it would have been with a speed camera.
Yeah, I believe, and I can't remember for sure, but I believe it's $119 for 10 over. So, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
The only other thing is I'm going to be out of the office on Friday the 4th. Thanks. Have a good night.
4th of July?
No, this Friday.
Oh, this Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about the meeting on Thursday.
Vehement.
The county supervisors want all the mayors and all the council that want to participate in discussion. It's kind of an interesting way that they've done this, because here we are with the levy vote coming up in November, and the purpose of this meeting is to talk about what happens when the levy doesn't pass.
If the levy doesn't pass.
Oh, I'm sorry, I used the wrong word.
If the levy doesn't pass.
Oh, forgive me, please. So if the levy doesn't pass, they want to know what we want to talk about. And I think that we need to be prepared, not necessarily with options, because we won't know what the options are. But one of the biggest problems that we have in this situation is we have two ambulance services, Fairbank and Jessup, and that already have it. And you probably heard the Jessup County City Council person on TV talking about the fact he doesn't want any money going to Independence, specifically said Independence in the news itself. The approach here should have been that you have Fairbank, we have Jessup, and we have the rest of Buchanan County. It should not be saying Independence, because Independence is just a share of the rest of the county. It's not all of it. And I think that what we need to be thinking about, if this does not pass, we need to seriously be considering whether or not the city of Independence just steps back and says, this is a county issue, good luck.
That would be mine, and mine also would be to file a FOIA with the hospital board and find out what the last 4 years of receipts have been, and see if there's enough money to finance the ambulance.
Well, when you talk to the county supervisors, if the levy does pass, their opinion of the way that this works is you've got your commission that's going to be deciding or making recommendations to the supervisors. The money all comes into the county. The county then makes the ultimate decision. They don't ask Independence what we want. That we've got Blake that'll be on the committee, and if they decide that to overrule Blake because other mayors want, or other city councils want more money, then they're going to get it. It won't be something that we'll be able to have any say in whatsoever. So if the county is responsible for the ambulance services throughout the county, then the county is responsible for the ambulances, whether it passes or it doesn't pass. Now, it needs to pass. But if it does not pass, I think the city should seriously consider whether we want to participate in any program, whether we want to get out of the one that we're currently in. That's option number one. Option number two, if we wanted a more proactive role, would be to say, okay, well, we can't continue to pay for the entire county, so let's consider an Independence-only fire department, and ambulance service. And Independence would then would partner with probably the hospital, and we would say to the hospital, okay, this is our area, and then we go out to area, and we go out to other people, and we'd say, okay, what is it going to cost us to just have ambulance service with the city limits of Independence, because this money would be coming out of our coffers only. And why should we be paying for the rest of the county if the county doesn't want to assist us with this levy vote?
And the citizens need to understand that they've been supplementing for the county since this deal took place, simply because they're paying your city taxes and county taxes.
Right.
So you're getting a double whammy, whether you realize it or not.
So I'm not sure that this is our conversation point for the purposes of Thursday night, but I think that as many of you as possible should go, and they should listen to what's being said, because if if they're really a consideration that we're looking for options with this does not pass, it should not be that Independence is going to take over the lead. If the county's saying they got no money because they were using their ARPA money for this and now they don't have any money, why is that our fault?
Yeah.
So anyway, I think it's important that at 6 o'clock at the Buchanan County Emergency Management Center. There is one other thing the same night, which is a shame because I'd really like to be there for that. Between 5 and 5:45 at the library, they're having they're taking that one tree that came partially down and they're carving it into a books and a squirrel, and they're having the art of chainsaw carving as a little seminar thing between 5 and 5:45 on Thursday. So maybe we can go over for a few minutes before we go over to the meeting. But again, as many people as possible that can come to that, I really would appreciate the support there because it's a shame if this does not pass and if they try to stick Independence somehow.
Why wouldn't we all work together? It'd be county, city, and hospital.
Well,
This is what got us into this mess is,
do whatever you want to do, because you guys, right now, the citizens of Independence are paying for the rest of the county.
Yes.
I mean, we're paying a third of everything, that not only the people.
and that's what makes us fair. Everybody's going to pay their fair share if it gets voted in.
We're getting paid.
We're getting doubled.
We're getting double.
We're paying city and county.
The way that this was set up by the state legislature, the intention was that the money would go to the county and the county would be responsible for that service.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the intention was, and you've got 13 or 15 different counties that have now approved this, that are moving forward with it. So
That was the most recent.
So the levy should pass, and we shouldn't have any issue, and the county will be taking over it. The county will be using the funds that they get in, and they'll be paying whatever they need to pay in order to service the county. But I'm concerned about the fact that I've got a county supervisor that, 30 days before the election wants to talk about, proactively, I guess, what happens if it doesn't pass. And, I mean,
Well, it's got to be 60% to get it passed.
it has to be 60% to get it passed.
And there's a lot of citizens out there that don't understand.
Bingo.
All they seem to understand is it's going to cost us
A new tax.
more tax money, and so therefore no, when it could be, do we want our town to not have no ambulance service?
Yeah. I'll say the people that
It
came
could
to
get
the
down to
last
that.
EMS meeting at the library, a lot of them came in and they were not understanding, but everybody who left was all for it at the end of the meeting.
15 people,
Yes.
Was not very many people, but they all,
6,000
had a positive
independents
outlook.
alone.
So a couple things to consider here. We're in reports, having a lot of discussion is
Yeah, true.
not a good idea. We will have this on the work session for October 7th so that we can have this discussion when it's appropriate to do so. I'm not trying to cut you guys off.
No,
Just
you're right.
this isn't necessarily the right time.
One more thing, though. Ralph, did you go to the?
In response to a lot of misinformation being out there, three of us on the council were at the library when it was at the library meeting. Prior to that, I was at the Raleigh meeting, and I was just amazed. There were just as many people at the Raleigh EMS meeting as there was in the city of Independence at the library. You're talking Raleigh, way far less people, and we're talking 6,000 residents in Independence, and both of them had basically the same turnout. It just is amazing, but yet people question, well, what about this, what about that? Now, to my knowledge, on Thursday, the public's welcome to be there also, correct?
Oh, I don't
Not-
know.
or is it
No.
closed?
I don't know about that. It's not, it can't be closed because they.
Can't be
they-
closed.
It's a public meeting.
For purposes of this governing body, this council, this is a public meeting.
Correct.
The meeting Thursday night, because it is being noticed, will also be a public meeting.
Okay.
But I don't know that we're encouraging people to come.
Okay.
But we
Because
want,
I know they have four more meetings yet.
there are 4 more EMS meetings.
But those are townhouse meetings.
Those are town hall
Those are townhouse meetings, okay.
And there's got to be some other, or otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. If this does not pass, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be looking for options.
I think it's important to point out, too, we want, I think from what you've stated already, we want everybody on the council that can attend to attend. if that's going to happen, it has to be a public meeting.
Right, and we've given notice, and
Right.
actually, when
Understood.
the memo came from the supervisors, they said, we've invited all of the mayors and all of their council. So if you've got people from your council that you feel would be appropriate to attend, bring them to the meeting. So I don't know if any of you would, are people that they don't want to attend. Okay, I don't have anything further on that. That should cover everything then. So I need a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I will leave
Stand
my